Next on Watch the Damn Tape, we're going to get into the reasons why SHedeur Sanders fell out of the first round. What it do, peeps? It's the Beat Chef for Watch the Damn Tape. Hit that like, that share, that subscribe button. Hit that bell to get notified when I drop my next video. New subscribers, I thank you for joining. Hope you enjoy the show. Old subscribers, thank you for helping me continue to build this platform and keep pushing out content. I appreciate you greatly. Let's get into it. There's a number of reasons why SHedeur fell in the draft. I know people online last night were going freaking nuts, especially on Twitter. Everybody was doing the race component, or the league is trying to, the league is trying to send a message to Deion. Okay, so the league is trying to suppress the black quarterback. It was a bunch of different stuff. This player is not better than SHedeur. I saw one lady that's a CBS analyst, does basketball. She actually said, I don't watch much college football, but I know SHedeur's a damn good quarterback. Why didn't he get drafted? And I was like, lady, if you didn't watch the games or you don't watch college football, why are you even talking? Why? Why? But that's the majority of most people. Most people just know names, and I call it the Angel Reese effect. Most people are just what they are. They're just fans. They don't even watch the games, don't watch the sport. They just like a name. A lot of people know T.U.S.S.L.E. Sanders, so everything associated with T.U.S.S.L.E. Sanders they love. T.U.S.S.L.E. Sanders is my favorite, all-time favorite football player ever. Been watching Deion since he was at Florida State. Always. I'm a Falcon fan. So when he went to the Falcons as a kid, I was ecstatic. So I get it. People have watched SHedeur since he was little. Shiloh, all of them. Deion and the Family Playbook, whatever on Oprah Network. I get it. Watch him at Jackson State. Go to a major Power 5 school. Ball out his first year. Ball out his second year. I get it. Y'all didn't watch them damn games. And the NFL draft, I've watched the draft my whole life. My mom and I, we used to have draft parties, and we'd watch the draft every Saturday morning from the time. And this is when they were doing 12 rounds, and we'd watch it on Saturday, and we'd watch it conclude on Sunday. The whole draft. And then when they went to 7 rounds, we watched the whole thing. And even with this three, she's kind of stepped away from watching football, but even with the 3-day breakup that they've done the last few years, I still watch it because it's one of the most fascinating drafts in sports. People have to realize drafting players is just like grocery shopping. Every team got a list, just like you go in a grocery store and you got a list. You go to a store, this store might have everything, but the store down the street has one particular item that's on your list, but you can get a better value for it. People, it's the same damn thing in football. Teams got a list. They're going by their list. The value here, we can get one of these guys, these quarterbacks, this group of quarterbacks, we can get these guys later. But these other D linemen, these O linemen, it's not a bunch of them. We gotta get them at this store, because if we go to the next store, they're not gonna have any, or they're not gonna be as good as the ones right here. So right here, we gotta strike, and that's what teams did in the first round. Typically, the first round of an NFL draft, you want each one of these guys to be a starter for a long time. And as it gets closer to the bottom of the first round, those guys aren't really first rounders. Those guys are more like second rounders, but they're picked in the first round. They still got that value. They still got that same expectation, but one of them might be a little nicked up or had something go on in college that made them slide, and you get value for that guy at that pick. The second round is the same exact way. The second round is almost a bunch of guys that could have been first rounders that slid into the second round because of maybe arm talent, bad interview, bad workout, wasn't as athletic as they thought in the when they saw him on tape. That's what happens in the second round. But in the second round, there's a lot of jostling to get up there and get those premium guys. This actually a ideal situation for SHedeur, because now you take a team, say like for instance, like teams that passed on SHedeur, like the Saints. The Saints, the Saints, you got the Titans. The Titans pick in the first pick of the Cleveland, excuse me. Cleveland picks the first pick of the second round. You got Jacksonville, you got the Raiders, all picking in that first part. You know Jacksonville's not going to get a quarterback. You know Tennessee's not going to get a quarterback. You know the Giants now are not going to get a quarterback. So you got Cleveland, you got LA. These teams now know. And other teams that might be below. You might have the Saints that are at 40. And Cleveland has a 33rd pick. They might say, you know what? One of these guys might go. But remember, only one quarterback got drafted high in the first round, and that was Cam Ward. The Giants had to move back into the first round to get the guy they wanted, Jackson Dart, which goes into my point about the similarities and the closeness between the other quarterbacks is so close that if you pick one guy, you're pretty much picking the other guy. So you might have Jackson Dart rated higher than SHedeur. Some boards might have SHedeur rated higher than Jackson Dart, but not by that much. So the Giants locked in on their guy, and they went and got him, and they didn't have to spend that much extra to get him. But in the second round, you move up and you get a guy because you're like, okay, well these are the guys that are left that are of this ilk. These it's almost like grocery shopping. It's Del Monte versus versus the store brand fruit cocktail. You can make whatever you're gonna make with both of them, but there ain't too much difference. It's just a slight little bit of variance between the two. So one team's gonna get this quarterback. Somebody might get Will Howard. Somebody might get SHedeur, but there might be a lot of jostling for SHedeur in this second day of the draft. But a team that gets SHedeur today will be the team that got the value pick in the first round, and then got a gem or something that fell to them in round two, and they didn't have to spend that much capital to get the guy. They didn't have to go up, move up, and get a bunch of picks. They got a guy in the first round that's a stud, guaranteed home run, and then in the second round, oh man, our quarterback fell to us in the second round. And I think that's what's going to happen to SHedeur on day two. I think SHedeur falls to a team that really has that need for a quarterback, say like the Saints. You don't know about David Carr. The thing about this draft this year in particular, and teams are going to go back to the old school way of drafting quarterbacks. You got a veteran presence, and you bring in a guy, and he can learn and then you can hand the ropes over to them. Just like you had in, basically the Giants got the same exact deal. They got a older Russell Wilson. The coach already came out and said, hey, Russell Wilson's our starter. So Russell Wilson doesn't have any pressure like he had in Pittsburgh. He's got a young, talented Justin Fields, and he's coming off an injury, and Justin Fields is out there balling. And they brought in Justin Fields after they signed Russell Wilson. You don't have that in New York. He's not threatened by Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's going to have a year, 2 years to develop. Russell Wilson bridges the gap. He's at the latter stages of his career, and it works out perfect. SHedeur is going to fall into that same place. Las Vegas, for instance, would be a great spot. We'll see if the camaraderie with Tom Brady is really true, because he said he talked to Tom Brady quite often. The Las Vegas Raiders got Geno Smith in the offseason. Veteran presence. He plays. SHedeur's behind him. Develops. Transition. Now it's his team. Works out perfect. And there's a bunch of situations like that. I mean, hell, even a team like the Rams, if they're high on SHedeur, they can sit there and wait for him to fall to them, and they don't have to give up. You still got to build a team. You still got to grocery shop. If you spend all your money trying to get SHedeur, and then you don't have anything about him, around him, then the fan base says, okay, well, man, why can't this dude lift us up? Why can't this guy take us to where we need to go? Well, he ain't got nothing around him. Then y'all like, well, they need a receiver. They need this. Well, go get the receiver. Go get that O-lineman. And then go get SHedeur later. That's what teams are doing. What SHedeur did wrong. You're going into the NFL. They have a way of doing things. Your father knows this. You go to the combine and you throw. You interview and you throw. You're not above anybody. You get invited to the Senior Bowl, which is another place to work out. Senior Bowl got pro staffs on both teams. These coaches are going to be watching you. They want to see you work out. You don't work out at the Senior Bowl. That's disrespectful. So you did, in essence, SHedeur basically did shit on 32 teams, 32 potential businesses that are hiring for a quarterback. For whatever, it might have been a backup, it might have been a starter. You never know who's watching. At the Senior Bowl, SHedeur said a bunch of things that were real interesting. I mean, he said this. He wasn't putting any emphasis on showing teams anything other than what they've seen each year at the collegiate level. Sanders just wanted them to see it in person this time rather than on film. Sanders believes that he's already proven the value he can bring to a football team, and he had a message for any QB needy team. If you're a team that's drafting a quarterback, you know who you want, and let's just go to the point. Let's just get to the point, he said, grinning. At the Combine, Pro Days, and 30 top visits and local visits, teams aren't just looking for what players can do on the field. They are also getting to know each person, seeing who they will be as a teammate and member of the locker room. Sanders believes the public already has seen all sides of him, the good and the bad. I feel like you've seen him, Sanders said, when asked who the real SHedeur is. I feel like you see him when the cameras come on. I feel like it's no difference in anything I do. I would say that I don't show publicly. I'm sure everybody sees the real version of me. People see some things I wish I didn't do, but overall, I'm just excited that everybody sees me. Bro, if you said you wanted to show more than what you showed on film, then you go to the combine and you throw. You do all the drills. You go to the Senior Bowl, and you either play. I mean, because most of the time in the Senior Bowl, some guys don't even play. Some guys just take a few snaps. You know, they might throw 5 passes, but it's really the practices You got to participate in the practices. That's what the coaches want to see. They want to see how you interact with other players. Because you're going to be going away from your father. You're going to be going away from Colorado. You're going to be going away from your comfort zone. They want to see you uncomfortable. You have to show what you are and who you are in an unfamiliar situation. And SHedeur dodged that, and that was to his detriment. And that's the reason why you started hearing the anonymous leaks and reports. And it happens every year. A lot of times it happens because a team wants a guy they really want to slide. There's dirty pool in the draft. There's always one guy that they target every year, and they say, you know what, this the guy. We either going to pump him up and make him out to be something that he's really not, and we're not even going to draft him. I remember one year it was Malik Willis and it was Kenny Pickett. And the Steelers were trying to figure out who they were going to pick, and everybody said, oh, Mike Tomlin loves Malik Willis. Doesn't that sound familiar? Oh, Mike Tomlin really loves SHedeur Sanders. The Steelers ended up picking Kenny Pickett. Case closed. I heard the same thing last night. I was like, yeah, I've heard that before. Teams don't generally tip their hands when it comes to players, unless you're the Cowboys. The Cowboys will blab out loud what they like and what they don't like. And then teams maneuver accordingly. Teams know teams. These teams all talk. So they know when they make these trades, who you going to pick? Oh, okay, we're going to pick this person. Okay, good deal. So we'll slide back because we know this team doesn't want that guy. We know this team doesn't want that guy. That's what teams are doing with SHedeur. They're picking up other players that are of a higher need, and they're waiting. The third thing that really hurts SHedeur, and it's really not even hurting him. He's played with his dad his entire career. He's heard one coach's voice. You needed to show that you can listen and take instruction and criticism from a coach that is not named T.U.S.S.L.E. Sanders. And the perfect time to do that would have been at the Senior Bowl. That would have been the perfect time. Break away from your father and show that you're a man that can lead a team. And take criticism, because there is criticism that can be levied.
If I were teams that entertaining drafting SHedeur, I would want to sit down and watch a lot of the plays that led to the sacks and just have conversations around them. Why? Why did they happen? Because for me, one of the big takeaways is there's too many like situational, selfish sacks where they're unnecessary at times when you got points potentially on the board. This is 3rd and 3 from the 7-yard line. One, this ball should be thrown to the back part of the end zone once you see the safety drive. But that doesn't happen. It's 3rd and 3 from the 7, okay? And now all of a sudden it becomes 4th and goal from the 32. Again, this is 3rd down from the 28. Just throw this ball away. You lose the rep. The defense has won the rep. Throw it away. We've got a field goal shot from the 28, but instead it's a 10-yard sack. That happens too often. Then the non-dynamic athleticism. This is cover 2 man. Everybody man underneath, and we're just rushing the quarterback. I promise you, teams do this. I have heard coaches say, when we as a defense are playing quarterbacks that do not make us fear running, we're going to play 2-man in passing situations because our pass rush will handle it. And so they don't do that to Josh. They don't do that to Patrick. They don't do it really to Joe, Lamar. So that's the kind of the traits that you're talking about. So again, that's the flaws that you're going to have to figure out when you eventually draft SHedeur.
Look, at SHedeur, I love what Dan Orlovsky said about SHedeur, holding on to the ball too long. If you saw any of my videos from Colorado games, there was a lot of games, even when they won, he would hold on to the ball too long, not take the easy money, trying to find a big play. It's on tape, folks. It is what it is. Can he work it out? Of course he can. But it still has to be brought up because every player that gets drafted has some part of their game they got to work on. SHedeur Sanders is not excluded from that list. Every player. Travis Hunter's got stuff he can work on, he will improve on. Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, all these guys have something that they have to work on. None of these guys is a finished product. You can't act like a finished product and you're not a finished product. Your dad can go to the combine and interview and go out there and run a 40 that's blazing and leave. He can do that. Your daddy is probably arguably one of the greatest defensive players to ever play in the league. One of the greatest athletes to play sports, period. You're not your father. Don't act like it. You can have your daddy swagger, but at a certain point, you got to turn that shit off and just go in there and do the interview and perform for what they want to see you do, because they're going to pay you to perform. So this is professional football. That's one of the things that the NIL space kind of makes these kids think they're bigger than life until they get humbled. And 32 teams did humble SHedeur last night. Let's not even beat around the bush on that. 32 teams humbled. 32 teams humbled a lot of players last night. There was a ton of players that weren't picked in that first round. But the thing is to get picked and then go to work. It ain't about where you get picked. That's only a money thing. Money gonna get made regardless. He gonna get paid regardless. He ain't getting a 5-year deal. That's the only difference between the first round and the second round. 2 through 7, they only get 4-year deals. First round picks, the team gets another year of control, so they get to give you a 5th-year option, a 5th year on your contract. They get to exercise that option. That's it. But if SHedeur Sanders goes to camp and performs at a high level, he'll make a team, he'll ball out, he'll get a starting job. It's about the work. This was a learning lesson. All these kids get learning lessons. If you're mad about SHedeur Sanders getting a learning lesson, then you need to reevaluate your life and where you stand at in life, because this is about the lessons. The WNBA players are about to learn a lesson. Some of those that got drafted, they're about to learn a life lesson. Lessons always will be learned. You should never stop growing as a person. But I'd love to know your comments, your thoughts on this. Leave them below, and until next time, folks, peace.